Good evening and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk. Tonight we're very privileged, although she's very busy, but we're going to talk and interview our Vice Mayor of Dumaguete City, Attorney Carissa Tolentino Maxino. But Vice Mayor, good evening and welcome to Let's Talk.
Good evening, Dok Dinno, and thank you for inviting me.
Talagang matagal nang gusto kitang i-interview. It's been some time. I think the last interview I made was when you ran for councilor again, no? So this is the second time around.
Yes, that's true.
How ironic. But we're going to tackle more on what you have been doing as vice mayor and basically what initiatives you've been doing since you took over as vice mayor. Now, Vice, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're the first lady vice mayor of Dumaguete City. And do you personally think that your gender is a plus factor in your role as presiding officer of the city council?
I don't think gender will matter for a presiding officer, actually. What is important is the skill and knowledge of the law and parliamentary procedure. Historically, many jobs were traditionally for either men or women, entitled accordingly, like policemen, firemen for men, and then stewardess and actress for female or women. Now, as presiding officer, traditionally that's called chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
But now we use gender neutral language such as chair, or when a female is presiding, it's Madam Chair. Okay, and I don't really think that it's a plus factor to be a man or a woman. It's just that what is important is the skill and knowledge.
Vice, let's go through the moment that you found out that you'll be going to be from number one councilor to vice mayor. Let's give our viewers an idea. How was it when you found out you'll be vice mayor?
I wasn't happy about it. Aside from the fact that I was really sad about the untimely death of the former vice mayor, it's not part of my plan to become a vice mayor. But of course, I want to run for a higher position, but not for vice mayor, but for mayor instead in the future. Because there's this theory that if you run for vice mayor, you can never be a mayor in Dumaguete.
Oo, narinig ko na rin yan. No?
Yeah.
Anyways, Vice, when you assumed office as a vice mayor, what changes did you initiate in the Sangguniang Panlunsod to make the council more effective in its legislative work?
Aside from the ordinances that we made, we amended the rules. Among the rules, internal rules of the Sangguniang Panlungsod are the non-action of the committee would kill a particular legislation or ordinance. This is what we do. Now, after first reading, we refer that particular ordinance for the committee for review. And then the committee is given 30 days to review. And if the committee does not act on it before, a particular measure will be killed. So mawala na siya. So it will actually delay a particular item or ordinance if it's really important. That's why upon my assumption, we immediately amended it. Okay, so the standing rule now is if a particular committee does not act on a particular ordinance, after 30 days, it can go back to the plenary. So it will avoid delays. So it can go back to the plenary. So it will not be upon the discretion now of the committee, but the plenary or the Sangguniang Panlungsod can act on it. And then we had an absurd rule before that when a councilor is out during voting, the effect there before is that will be counted as a yes vote. Okay, and that's very absurd. So we changed it. Now, when a councilor is out during voting, his vote will be considered abstain. So his vote will not be counted.
Okay.
Another important amendment that we made is the treatment of an abstention. Okay, before, when you abstain, your vote will be considered a no vote.
Mhm.
That's very absurd if you will explain.
Okay.
Okay, if you will not explain, then that will be considered. I'm sorry. If you will explain, then your vote will be considered a no vote. If you will not explain, then it will be treated as an abstention, which is not counted. So that will also confuse people.
Mhm.
That's why we change it. If you're abstaining, then definitely your vote will not be counted. So that's one of our among our amendments in our rules
Okay.
when I started office.
Okay. What do you think are the most pressing issues or important issues or concerns that the Sangguniang Panglungsod needs to address during now your term as Vice Mayor and provide legislative support?
Okay, there are a lot of issues that must be addressed by the administration, and the Sangguniang Panglungsod needs to provide legislative support in terms of appropriation ordinance.
Mhm.
Every time there's a need for the mayor to appropriate something, the council has to approve an appropriation ordinance. Recently, we just approved an appropriation ordinance for 20 kilograms rice for 32,000 recipients. So that's very essential. If the Sangguniang Panglungsod does not approve that, then people will not be receiving ayuda or rice.
Mhm.
That's very important. Another important legislative support or ordinances providing for penalties. For
Mhm.
example, during our pandemic, before, our executive department had a problem implementing the IATF protocols.
Mhm.
But because we passed an ordinance providing for penalties, then they can now implement it properly, because people will now fear for the penalties that were provided under the ordinance. And another important legislative support that we can give to the mayor is giving him authority to sign documents such as contracts, deed of sale, deed of donation, memorandum of agreement. Because if we will not do that, then the mayor cannot do anything.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, Vice, I'd like to ask you and your thoughts on. Personally, do you think that it is important for both the executive and legislative departments to maintain a cordial and working relationship?
Yes, definitely, Dok Din. All
Mhm.
branches in the government must work together. They are not enemies. The principle of separation of powers is there to prevent one branch of the government in becoming too powerful and
Yeah.
abuse its power.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean, when you say separation of powers, it doesn't mean complete separation of powers,
Mhm.
because the government is a single entity.
Correct.
So executive and legislative branches need to work together to attain progress, because affinity does not equate with independence or integrity.
Mhm. But some quarters would think that having a close relationship with the executive department will compromise your expected role to check and balance the executive department. Your thoughts on this?
Well, close relationship with the executive branch does not in any way affect the integrity of legislative.
Mm.
For example, my role as the head of the legislative branch is to preside. Matters requested by the executive branch are always deliberated by the members of the legislative, the members of the Sangguniang Panglungsod, such as the councilors, because we are a collegial body.
Correct.
So it doesn't really mean that if I have a close relationship with the mayor, that the legislative will already be compromised.
Mhm.
Also, the mayor and I believe in a common vision and platform spelled out in Lupad.
Mhm.
Livable. If I may enumerate,
Yes,
sir.
please.
Okay. So the platform spelled out in Lupad are as follows: livable and cultured community, urban revitalization, inclusive of all barangays,
Mhm.
professionalism in government service and good governance,
Mhm.
A for abundance of food, clothing, and adequate shelter for every family, D for devotion to God and dedication to country and community. And with that, we can achieve more if we have the same goal and direction. The legislative's role is to provide the necessary legislation towards the realization of the Lupad platform.
Mhm.
The executive sets the program and direction.
Mhm.
And we all know that commonality of purpose or goal does not mean tolerating or undermining or turning a blind eye to any excesses or abuses by the executive department.
Mhm.
Cooperating and supporting the executive does not mean subservience or just obeying without questioning.
Mhm. Mhm. Now, at present, I just like to find out from you, Vice. Describe to us the existing relations among members of the majority and the minority bloc in the city council.
Well, members try to maintain cordial relationships, Dok Din.
Yes.
However, it is unavoidable that sometimes politics affect relationships.
Yes.
Cordiality among peers sometimes is undermined by those who want to grandstand at the expense of others.
Mhm. Anyways, Vice, uh, do you find it quite reasonable and justifiable for the executive department to require that any inquiry or request for appearance of its executive officials and employees before the city council be cleared and permitted by the city mayor or the city administrator? Your thoughts on this, Vice?
Yeah, yes, it's reasonable
Mm.
because department heads, Dok Din, are alter ego of the mayor.
Okay.
So as head of the executive, the mayor knows best who among his department heads has full knowledge of facts that the legislative wants to know.
Mhm.
Hence, the mayor needs to know what is being sought, and this will help deter any malicious invitations imbued with hidden political motives. This will also help separate genuine public interest from insidious political machinations. Anyway, the department heads are allowed to be to go in a committee meeting.
Mhm.
So during committee meetings, they can go, except that they need to ask permission if they will attend the regular session.
Mhm. Now, I always understand and I've learned that usually executive officials and employees are called in aid of legislation to help out the legislators to
That's
come
true.
out with certain legislations to help out, no, or to remedy or to improve the process. But where do we cross the line between aid in aid of legislation and simply just trying to sow controversy on a specific issue?
That's that's actually true. We can invite uh, guests in aid of legislation,
Yes.
but we cannot just invite people, especially if it's without notice. Like
Mm.
what usually happened before
Mm.
was a counselor would just ask the presiding officer, "Can we request the head of the planning office to come here?"
Yes.
But these people are working. The
Yes.
heads of the departments are working, and they also have their different schedules. So we cannot just call them anytime.
Yes.
So yeah, so this is really the reason why the mayor issued a memorandum for them to ask permission first, so that they can, aside from being able to set a schedule, they would know what the questions are and they will be able to prepare.
Mm-mm. Guys, kindly educate me, no, or our viewers as well. I know for a fact that there are committees in charge of specific, let's say, specific sectors, no.
That's true.
It's in aid of legislation. Then this committee would specifically discuss it first at their specific hearings before it's lobbied to or endorsed to the city council itself. Um, as it is now, what would be the proper procedure when it comes to, let's say, addressing concerns as to executive officials and employees being called immediately to city council rather than having them first at the level of the committees?
It would be proper to request through the committee first, so
Mhm.
that the committee can assess, and the committee can also check whether there's really an issue.
Yes.
Because if we go to the plenary directly,
Mhm.
then people would misinterpret that, oh, there must really be a problem about this particular matter, even if there's none.
Yes, yes. Mhm. That's right. Now, let me, on a personal note, let me talk about on the issue of cyberbullying and fake news, which you have been a victim of, Vice Mayor. What pained you the most, and how did you handle the same?
What pained me the most, I think what pained me the most was when a fake account was created
Mhm.
using my picture,
Uh-huh.
and the pictures of my two children were also posted online with savage captions.
Wow.
So yeah, that was really below the belt.
Mhm.
There were also comments before from friends. I was also uh, disappointed with those comments because they did not ask me first before posting online.
Mhm.
So I tried to dispel those false allegations, but
Mhm.
it didn't do any good. So I realized it's better not to engage and just ignore.
Yeah.
But of course, if it's too much, bullies should be held accountable.
Yeah.
If it's too much.
Has it come to a point that you wanted to file a cyber case against these people that go into bullying or bullying you?
Yeah, there was a time when the pictures of my children were used and were posted online.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now,
We're still trying to investigate it, and I might be filing a case against the perpetrator.
okay, that's good to hear. Now, let's talk about your involvement in several hot button issues that elicited passionate opposition and emotional support against you and some of the members of the city council. What has been your source of strength in carrying out your duties without fail?
My only source of strength, aside from my family, Dok Din, is God through prayer. The Bible reminds us how we can be strong when we are weak. When we are dependent upon God, when we surrender to Him, when we rely on Him and ask Him to live His life through us, we're actually living by His power and strength.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my source of strength.
Did it come to a point in time that you simply wanted to just give up and personally just it deterred you from making certain decisions which you felt were right in view of its being unpopular? Did it come up to that point?
I think never,
Mhm.
Dok Din.
Mhm.
As long as I believe that what I'm doing is right, I will never give up.
Mhm.
So far, I have never given up.
Now, what have you learned from all of these experiences, Vice Mayor? What lessons, if any?
Well, some of the people are not true friends. uh, what else? You just have to trust in yourself, trust in God, and He will do the rest. As long as your conscience is clear, as long as you believe that what you're doing is right, then nothing will prevent you from achieving your goal.
Let's retrospect. Who influenced you and what made you decide to enter politics?
Actually, no one. It was just me, Dok Tin. I had no relatives in politics
Yes.
in Dumaguete. So it was just passion, I think.
Mhm.
I I was the SK chairman in Barangay Batingil and the SK president, ex-officio member of the city council at the age of 15
Mhm.
in year 2002. So I think that's what influenced me in going back to the city council.
Okay. Now, what made you decide now to run anew as councilor under the Lupad Dumaguete performance team of Mayor Ipe Remolyo?
Because it's only Mayor Ipe Remolyo's administration that the dump site was closed, the sanitary landfill was built,
Mhm.
historical sites were restored. We now have a museum, the Presidencia, and then traffic problems were lessened. Bridges were built, and then a lot of roads were opened. Roads were constructed as well. And then despite the COVID crisis, this administration was able to secure funds for a lot of ayudas. The mayor was also able to get a lot of vaccines compared to other municipalities and cities in the province. Okay, we also got several awards for sports, best retirement place, employment opportunities, PESO awards, efficiency in government service, sustainability. Even previous mayor, Congressman Sagarbarria, and other mayors are impressed of Mayor Ipes' administration. So definitely, Mayor Ipes' administration has already showed us what he can do. And I want to, of course, work with him and finish what he has started. We can make our city more livable, more workable, and more sustainable, both economically and environmentally.
True to the Lupad slogan.
Yes.
Now, to the critics of this current administration, what can you tell them about Mayor Pe and his brand of leadership?
For the critics, I want to tell them that every smart city program around the world started with a visionary mayor. And that's Mayor Ipe Remolio. No smart city program can succeed or even begin without a visionary and a smart mayor. With Mayor Remolio's track record, he can do more during his last term. So just let him finish what he has started.
Okay, that's good to hear. Now, what will be given the opportunity to win as councilor, what will be your legislative priorities and initiatives, given the chance, again, to serve as city councilor?
Well, I will continue working hard. I've passed ordinances regarding scholarships. Initially, we only had 100 scholars in 2017, and then after winning the second term, I was able to increase the scholars to recipients of the scholarship to around 500. So my goal now is to reach 1,000 scholars in Dumaguete.
Okay.
So far,
you personally feel that achievable?
Yes, Dok Din. Yes,
Okay.
Dok Din.
Okay.
And then aside from that, Dok Din, I have authored a number of ordinances. I think I have passed around 50, but I still have around 100 pending ordinances. Actually, sabay-sabay kami ni former Vice Mayor Alan Cordova before sa pag-author ng mga ordinances, and I pledge to work for more ordinances for a better Dumaguete. Okay.
Vice, I'd just like to get your thoughts on this. No, I just came across. No, yung paggawa ng legislation. No, this really requires a lot of research, specifically trying to before making it as an ordinance or becoming an ordinance that there is sufficient funding for the same and structure that would really make the ordinance realistic now, as far as legislation is concerned. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there has been several ordinances in the past that has been made, and yet there has been no implementation of the same. What do you think? I may get your thoughts on this, Vice. No?
Yes, that's why it's important to coordinate with the executive department, because if we just make a lot of ordinances without even coordinating with the executive department, then it cannot be implemented.
Correct. Because there has been some that has been budgeted or that has budgets that would require millions of pesos from government coffers, and yet the executive cannot respond to the same by reason that there are certain priorities. I think that's where the cordiality of relationship should come about between the executive and the legislative. Do you agree?
Yes, that is true.
Okay.
The executive and legislative should have at least the same vision. So in order for the executive to properly implement the ordinances.
Let me get your take on this. What are you most proud of being one of the mainstays of the Lupad team, Vice?
The Lupad team has proven their track record of accomplishments. When regular employee apply for a job, employers will look at the CV or the resume and see if he or she has relevant working experience or background to find out if he or she is even worth to be called for a job interview. But with the Lupad team has proven its track record. The accomplishments can be seen through hard work and dedication of the team.
Mm.
So I'm very proud of that.
Okay. Now, as Vice Mayor, what are your fears? And if any, what makes you think that when you do something, everything is worth it? As a Vice Mayor or as Councilor, as the case may be.
Well, I'm afraid that I might not have done enough.
Mhm.
I'm also afraid, what I'm afraid the most is the possibility of being corrupted.
Mhm.
But everything is worth doing.
Mhm.
Would start with being scared.
Mhm.
So as long as I'm doing the right thing, then I think I'm gonna make it.
Very good, Vice. Lastly, kindly share to us your message to the people of Dumaguete City, Vice Mayor.
To the people of Dumaguete, the election is almost here. But we have to remember that public office is also a job. So don't be deceived by just the handshake, smiles, and promises of politicians. You ask these questions. Does he have enough experience? What has he done so far? Does he have a sense of morality? Does he have a well-defined platform? Does he have a strong desire to make Dumaguete a better city?
Vice, salamat jud kayo for being my guest tonight.
You're welcome.
And always a privilege to have you here at Let's Talk. To our viewers, please continue to like, share, and follow us at our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you can see all the past episodes and this episode in case you won't be able to watch it tonight. So, Vice, thank you very much for being here. And
Thank you.
maraming salamat. Good luck on your endeavors, Vice.
Thank you. Take care.
So
Bye-bye.
that's our show for tonight. I'm Dok Dinno. Be well.